Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Wednesday, the 16th of October. We're halfway through the month. It's amazing, isn't it? Probably for the rest of this week, you're going to hear things about the camp, our journey. What do we call it here? A journey of discovery, first generation. This past weekend, from Friday through Thanksgiving Monday, we had probably 25 youth from our diocese come from all over the diocese to gather at our camp to celebrate life, to celebrate their lives. And we had some very special guests. We had the Four Sacred Hearts who came as our fire keepers. And they came on Friday evening and they lit the fire at a brand new fire pit. We created, Rob bought rocks to make the lighting, and Mackenzie and CJ, two of the adult helpers at the camp, built a fire pit, and the fire keepers came and they built a sacred fire that they tended 24 hours a day for the whole time until after our Eucharist on Monday at noon. It was incredibly powerful. They stayed there the whole time. They talked about, at the beginning of starting the fire, they talked about the link, the opening a portal of encouraging, inviting the those who have the spirits in the spirit world to come and be present and to pray with and to be there with the kids through this whole time. And then we closed that portal on Monday, and the spirits were fed. The first food from each meal was fed to the fire, so the spirits could be, the elders, those who have gone on, could be fed on their journey as well. And they were there the whole time, and the fire keepers prayed and held ceremony the whole time. There was always someone beside the fire. It was never left alone. It was incredibly powerful. And many of the kids, I found, would sort of, especially the boys, would sort of gravitate toward Tim and the fire keepers and sit and talk, and the leaders did as well. And they took turns. They volunteered to go. Some of the boys would volunteer to go and sit at the fire before they ate their dinner so that the fire keepers could go and eat their dinner first. It was beautiful. And Tim taught us drumming, the bear song, and he taught them about respect and courage and so much more. But first, I'll get into that probably tomorrow or Friday. But today I'd like to talk about a different kind of spirit. When Mackenzie got to the camp, when they were there, or when they woke up on Friday morning, there were a few dogs there, just out of the blue. They just showed up, and the dogs. There was a girl dog and a boy dog. I named them Alpha and Omega. The girl was Alpha. She was the Alpha, also known as B and Zeke. But these dogs had no collars on them. They were skinny. They weren't really dirty. So wherever they were from, I don't think they were abused. There was some concern that they may have been dumped, that people went out into the bush and just dropped them off. But these dogs were very well behaved. I would feed them, took out hamburgers to them, and Alpha, the female dog, I would hold the burger patty in my hand, and she would nibble up to my fingers and try to pull on the patty to break it apart, but she wouldn't bite me. She was so gentle. And then when I went to feed Omega, the male dog, which was a smaller dog, he wasn't as gentle, but when I told him to be gentle, he slowed down. He would nip on my fingers, but he'd stop. But Alpha would drive her head in and try to take the food away from Omega. But when I told her to sit, she would stop. She was pretty good. But they would follow us around, and I would stay at Cropthorne, the cottage, overnight with Rob, and then we would both come, because Rob did all the cooking with CJ for the whole weekend, including a massive turkey dinner with all the fixings. He cooked 30 turkeys, and the kids had a blast. We had a formal dinner where the adults served the kids. It was amazing, but Rob did amazing. So did CJ. But these dogs, I would come back in the morning, and the dog, when I came back Saturday morning, the dogs met me at the car door, and they followed me around, and it was beautiful. And they were there, and all night long, between Friday night and Saturday, they were out in the bush howling. They were keeping the bears away and other animals. And I really do believe that they were there to protect the kids. I'm going to cry. You see, the kids who come are coming from places where sometimes life isn't so great. They're remote, and there's danger. And like all teenagers who are facing difficulties, there's drugs and suicide and alcohol. A lot of the kids are coming from a community that just this past spring and summer had several murders, and people have died. And some of these people are their own age. Many of them have lost cookums or chums, grandma and grandpas, who are very influential in raising these kids. And two of the kids' brothers found out while they were at camp that their cookum, their grandma, had died while they were there. And so for these kids, the camp is home. It is a safe place. It is a place where they can come and be kids. They don't have to babysit their little brothers and sisters. They don't have to worry about people trying to sell them drugs. They don't have to worry about houses burning down or people, getting hurt. Car accidents. Where they live, it's so remote, and there have been so many car accidents lately on the highways leading to their community. They don't have to worry about those things. They can just come and play. They just have pickup games of volleyball. Like, volleyball is huge for these guys. And they sit around and they talk and they have fun and they tease each other and they act like teenagers. And these dogs, for all day Friday, all day at night, Friday night, and then Saturday, were incredibly powerful. And all night Friday night, they tell me that the dogs howled all night. They were out walking in the woods around the camp. No one saw the dogs during the night, but they were out and they were protecting the kids. And in some ways, we need to recognize that when we open ourselves up, when we allow ourselves to become vulnerable and open to the Creator's Spirit, when we open ourselves up and say, Creator God, welcome into me, come into my heart, come into my space, that I am opening myself up and being vulnerable. We also have to be aware that when we open ourselves up like that, we open ourselves up to that which is not good. We can protect ourselves from evil by holding ourselves off, but then also means we aren't making room for God to come in. But when we open our hearts, when we open ourselves up and make ourselves vulnerable, that God can enter, so can other things. And the fire keepers very much were protectors of those kids this weekend and the adults that were gathered. But I believe that those dogs, I believe that God, the Creator, sent us those dogs for that first 24, 36 hours so that the kids would be safe, that they were protected. As the fire keepers built up the protection around the camp with their prayers and the sacred fire, the dogs were guarding. They were preparing. The dogs disappeared on Saturday, and they didn't come back. I don't know where they went. I pray they found their way home, and that wherever home is a safe place. I have to believe that, because that Omega dog was coming home with me, and I'm pretty sure the female dog was going home with Deb, our first aid person, if they had stuck around till Monday. We couldn't have left them at the camp alone. There wouldn't have been any food or protection or warmth. But these dogs were beautiful, but I believe that they were given to us, they were loaned to us as protection. And they were huge in helping the kids come into the camp and to let down their guard and to play. They played. The dogs played with the kids. And the kids followed them around and wanted to know where they were. And even when they were doing other things, they touched base and check where were the dogs. Those dogs were gifts to us at camp. And they were reminders to us, for those of us who aren't Indigenous, who maybe don't think in terms of the Indigenous ways, the importance of the animal beings, the spirits of animals. Those dogs were reminders to us that the Creator gives us the gifts that we need. Creator gives us protection. And I do believe that those dogs were protecting those kids. And they were healing. They brought healing to me. They were healing and giving us the incredible gift of coming together on our journey of discovery as we begin a new thing. In the Diocese of Brandon, within the Anglican Church of Canada, we are called to walk a new path. to walk in a good way, to serve the 94 calls of action for truth and reconciliation. And our camp has been doing that for years. And we are making the decision as a diocese, we're making the decision as a camp, that we will make our own calls to action practical. And this is one of the ways we can do this, by working with our Indigenous brothers and sisters, and they working with us, that together we can have a new journey of discovery, this first generation of 7 that it will take to heal. And that began this past weekend. You know what else happened this past weekend? We had a Eucharist on Monday, and 3 people were baptized, 2 kids and one of the firekeepers, and 2 young people were confirmed. We didn't expect to do that. But that's the thing, isn't it? When we don't expect things, God works miracles. Creator moves into our lives and changes us. Amazing and powerful things are happening in our world, in our lives, in this diocese, among our kids and our adults. Amazing things are happening because we are willing to open our hearts and allow ourselves to be vulnerable. It's a good thing. These are happy tears. So I ask your prayers for this camp. And I ask your prayers for sustainability. I ask that you pray that I, with the leadership of this diocese, will find ways for stewardship and for fundraising, find ways that we can make sure that these weekends, these survival weekends, these journey of discoveries can happen, that the ministry of the camp can continue, that our ministry to our Indigenous brothers and sisters, our siblings, can continue, and that we can build relationships that hopefully in 7 generations will repair what took 7 generations to put into disrepair. I'm seriously asking you to pray for the practical resources, the financial, the physical, the people resources that we need to do what we are being called to do in this diocese right now, because it is powerful and is important and is essential for the work that I believe God is calling us to do in the Diocese of Brandon in the province of Manitoba. Thank you. I will talk more tomorrow probably about the firekeepers and how powerful that was, and the drumming and what that meant. Check in tomorrow and we'll talk some more. Have a great day and God bless.